Hello and welcome back to another stream here on Adobe Live, on the Adobe Live YouTube and Behance channel. My name is Tim. I work for Adobe on the community team, and I have the privilege of talking to you for the first time probably about Project Neo, because, well, it's actually not the first time, but you know, Neo has now been released as a public beta, which means everyone, including you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, can play around with Project Neo and hopefully create something very special. So, I'm luckily not alone today because I have you in the chat. So if you're watching this live right now, then hello, thanks for joining. I see Reef, I see Clever, I see AK, I see Bruce. Hello. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And today, as the title suggests, we're going to do a crash course in Project Neo, because if you want to play with Neo and you have never heard of this workflow, or if you have never tried it before, if you weren't part of the private beta, then I want to give you a head start and make sure you have maximum amounts of fun when trying to play with some fun shapes. So, without further ado, let's have a look at Project Neo. And for those at home watching, let me know, have you been playing around with Neo so far? Were you part of the beta? I want to hear. So perhaps if you already know everything about Neo, then we can do more advanced things. Or if this is your first time seeing Neo, then let's do the basics. Either way, let's hop on over to my screen. There we are. Fantastic. Hello, Frank. You can stay on Behance, you can stay on YouTube, doesn't matter. I am reading both chats at the same time because I'm that good. We'll see about that. Anyway, if you want to join me in trying out Project Neo, then head on over to projectneo.adobe.com. There you go. And log in, of course, with your Adobe account, and then you will see hopefully the same page as I have it right here, right now. Cool. So scroll down just a tiny bit. We get some lovely previews. Create some things, we can refine some things, we can collaborate, deliver. These are a couple of things we are working on right now. So I hope this will give you just a taste of what will be possible with Project Neo. Oh, hello, Sean. Hi, Oliver. Thanks for joining. All right. By the way, I see a comment in the chat about Firefly, I think. Yes, the good news is we have heard you, and I'm personally collecting all that feedback for Firefly video and bringing it over to the teams. So if you want to let us know how you think about everything, today we're going to focus on Neo, but the chat is still definitely available. So let us know. And while I can't promise any changes, I can definitely promise that I will collect your feedback and bring it to the Firefly team. So do keep posting. All right, moving on, back to Neo. We're gonna start super simple with the create button at the top right here. And if I keep talking like that, then everybody will turn off the stream right about now. So I'm gonna stop doing that. Cool. If this is your first time checking out Neo, then welcome to the interface. We have the center viewport, if we want to call it that. We have some options at the top. We have a tiny layer widget right here. Sorry for clipping the mic. And just going to move my cam over to the left so I can point. And we have some so-called primitive shapes. Primitive because they are very basic, and using those shapes, you can build, well, I don't want to say everything. It's pretty tough to build happiness with shapes, but you can try. But you can build most things with these shapes. For me, happiness probably would consist of lots and lots of cheesecake. Never mind that. Let's get started. Navigating Neo, almost want to say Fresco. No, Neo is super easy. I'm using a mouse, but if you are on a trackpad today, then please do make sure to change it right here, because controls will be slightly different whether you're on a trackpad or on a mouse. In my case, I do like using the mouse, so I'm gonna stick to that. So first things first, let's learn how to navigate our way around Neo. And because we're looking at a 2D screen, but we're editing in 3D, it's probably a good idea to know how to navigate. So on your mouse, it's as easy as right-clicking and dragging if you want to pan around. It's as easy as center-clicking or the mouse wheel to pan around. You can also, if you don't happen to have a center mouse button or wheel, like if you have the magic mouse, then you can hold down the space bar and use your left mouse button. Is Tim going to make another Hate Valentine's Day card? No. Maybe. I've heard that one went down well. Okay. Okay, back to Neo. So hold down the space bar. Hello, Sandrine. Nice to see you. To pan around, right-click to orbit, and mouse wheel to zoom in and out. If you are on a trackpad, then you can use your 2 fingers at the same time to zoom in and out and pan around. Or if you prefer to use the tools on the left, the orbit tool, or O, is available. We have the hand tool, the pan tool, the hand, pan, hand, pump, you know what I mean. And of course, the zoom. So everything I just told you is also available via keyboard shortcuts or on the left. Cool. So let's get rid of this default cube and let's start from scratch. As you may have seen in the thumbnail, I want to do some breakfasts. It's all food related. We will all get very hungry. And so in the chat, please do tell me, what do you usually have for breakfast? And maybe we can create a big plate filled with breakfast items from the chat. So that would be my goal for the stream today. And hopefully, by doing this, we'll learn how to use all the tools in Neo. That's the plan. While you think about everything, so some things you want to eat for breakfast, I'm going to start by creating the plate, because we should probably put it on something. So, wrong mouse, here we go. Let's create a plate. And whenever I want to create anything in Fresco, I won't stop saying Fresco, probably rhymes with Neo. Oh well. In Neo, whenever you want to create anything in Neo, you start with the basics. So, in this case, a plate, well, that's probably just a very flat cylinder. So, let's click here and click and drag. There's our cylinder. That's a quite tall plate. Luckily, we can transform it using keyboard shortcuts, either by pressing the V, or if you don't like keyboard shortcuts, if for whatever reason you don't like to work efficiently, then yes, you can also come over here and go to select and then edit shape. In this case, I'm just going to click here. And using this gizmo, if this is your first time using a 3D tool, here's how it works. So we have the translate tool, so moving it up and down, front and left, back and forth. We can scale it. That's this white thingy, the white cube. Can scale it up and down. Probably for a plate, we do want to have it quite flat. Here we go. There we are. And also, I mean, there's a third axis. I don't think we need to do that. Instead, I would just like to scale the whole thing, but preserve aspect ratios. So in this case, I can scale it just like this. So make sure that's nice and big. Here we go. Move that over here, and that looks good to me. Now, you may have seen there are a couple of more gizmos, thingies, icons to look at. One of them, of course, we already had a look at. It's scaling. Then it's moving around on the camera plane, so left and right, up and down. We can also move it along a surface, which will become very useful later on once we manipulate multiple objects. Right now we only have the one, so it doesn't really matter. But once we have more than one, perhaps placing something on a plate, that could be quite useful. And finally, this one is, you may have known this from Illustrator, this one is all about rounding corners. Not something we want to do for now, but we're going to keep that in mind for later. Cool. Now, plates usually have like a dimple, like it goes down in between. So let's do that. And I can already see lots and lots of really cool breakfast things. So I'm going to do my best. All right. So I want to modify this plate. Right now it's relatively boring and flat. But if we want to keep our food on the plate, probably a good idea to have like a little dimple in there. So by pressing Command or Control C and V, I'm copying and pasting it in place. And what we can do now is by scaling it down. And I'm just going to give the outer one a different color so we can see it a bit better. So let's pick a nice orange. And using the mini layer widget, I can select my other cylinder. And I'm just going to move it up. There you go. And just going to orbit around so we hopefully can see that. So it's sitting above our plate right now. That's sort of the opposite of what we want, right? Absolutely. So what we're now going to do is we're going to combine those two shapes. And to do that, it's a bit like the Pathfinder in Illustrator, but it's in 3D. So over here in the Combine panel, we can check if we want to add something, what we're doing right now. If we just want to set the color, there you go, it's just now the color. If we want to repel something, if we want to avoid another object, or in our case, if we want to carve it out. And as you hopefully can see, I'm going to zoom in a bit further, we have now carved out this section. If I scale it up, I could probably even carve out the entire plate. Probably not the best idea, especially not if you're eating soup. In my case, I think this is just about fine. Now, most plates usually don't have a sharp corner. Otherwise, I mean, you wouldn't need a knife to cut your food. In this case, I sort of want to blend the edges. And blending is the keyword here because right below the blending options, we have a blending slider. And now, this is my favorite part of Neo. Almost said Fresco again. Of Neo. The product team's going to hate me. I can blend between two shapes. Look at that. And actually, while I do appreciate having this nice frame here, I think for now it's a bit distracting, so I'm just going to remove that by hiding the frame here. So I just click somewhere where there's no object, and then I can hide that artboard frame. It's great if I want to frame something later, but for now, since we're just editing, no, don't need that. Right, so let's just zoom out a tiny bit. There we go. Now we have our plate, and I think maybe we can just make the outside a bit smoother so it's not as sharp, and then we can get started with our modeling of the different breakfast items. All right. So I've already went ahead and set a color, but for completeness sake, let's adjust the material of this plate. First, we can, of course, keep it white if we want, but I think a little bit of color, why not? And of course, pick a different one. Actually, the orange works quite well. Yep, that's good. And we could also adjust the inside. So let's say we actually want a purple plate for whatever reason. We could do that. Probably going to stick to white. I think that works quite well. Krista says, appreciate this video. Try to mess around in there this morning and it seemed too overwhelming. I get you. Absolutely. If this is your first time, can be a lot. But my tip for you, and we'll learn that in the following few minutes, try to break shapes down into more reasonably complex objects and then build them together. But we're going to do that right now. Oh, but well, in a moment. Cool. So we've set the color. Now, plates usually are a bit shiny, if they're made of porcelain. So let's drag down the roughness slider. And of course, since the plate is relatively flat, let's see if I can move it in a way so we can see a reflection. Yeah, there we go. Look right here. I'm going to zoom in so you can hopefully see that better. And I'm going to drag that to the right. Very rough. Very shiny. Of course, we want to do the same thing for the outside. So we also want to have this part quite shiny. And there we go. Now we have, yeah, sort of a more glossy plate. Right. The maybe block. Wrong stream. I already said this, but I'm going to say it again, and I hope then we can focus on Project Neo. I know we have heard your feedback. I'm going to forward that to the team, but right now I can't do anything about that. We've heard you. We'll forward the feedback, but right now it's Neo time. Okay? Cool. Right. Let's move on. With Neo, we now want to add our food items. Oh, no, wait. I want to make the roundness a bit more, the corners a bit more round. Cool. Let's do that first before we go back. It's heavy duty, yes. Because if I throw down a plate, I want the floor to break and not the plate. So we could probably make this a bit smaller. Yeah, that's better, I think. You're right. Okay, cool. We also have, if you look over here, some shape options. So, for example, we can round the top corner so we don't cut our fingers whenever we try to put this in the dishwasher. We can do the same thing for the bottom part if we want. If we look over here, we can now hopefully see, if we look at those corners, before and after, right? So probably something like this. Yep, that looks good to me. Oh, no, I don't want to zoom in further. There we go. We could also add things like holes and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, let's go to the fun bit. Let's add some food. So let's have a look at the chat. We have eggs, sunny side up eggs by Bruce. Glad you asked. Well, we do happen to have an egg shape, which, by the way, is not only useful for drawing eggs. Maybe you could use this as a body for a character. Okay, just so you know. Right, there we have our egg, but you mentioned a sunny side up egg. So let's think about how this egg would look like. So we have the white bit, and then probably the yolk, something yellowish, roundish at the center, and probably it's going to be shiny-ish. So let's try that. I'm going to start with another cylinder. Right here. About probably this big, maybe. Yeah. Hit V to go back to the select tool. Scale that down. We don't want a chunky egg. Probably right about here. And then let's round that, because eggs rarely come in perfect cylinder form. How about this? And that. That's already much better. Let's already tackle the roughness, so probably a bit more shiny. We could even make it reflective. Now, quick side note. Why is there a separate slider for reflectivity if we already can make it shiny here? The reason is this reflective checkbox sort of behaves more like a ray tracing algorithm. What do I mean by that? Well, if I take this egg right here, just going to duplicate that so we can have, I said I'm going to duplicate that. Thank you, Neo. And going to rotate that. And as you can see, well, it is reflective, but it is shiny, but it's not reflective. So if I change this, then hopefully we should start to see, there we go, if you can see it very faintly, we should start to see a reflection. You can see if there's a better angle, there we go. Yeah, you can actually see the reflection right here. If we probably make this really dark, it's like a burnt egg, then it will be more visible. There we go. So hopefully you can see the difference before shiny, but not reflective. Come on, and after reflective and shiny. Just the way I like my eggs. Also, especially in this color. Not. So let's try to find a different shape here. And Bruce is asking, you can't make a freeform shape yet? Or can you? Maybe if we have some time, we can try that out, because there's a new sneaky feature. Okay. Right. It's yolk time. So let's draw a circle. And we're done. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. No. We should probably make it a bit flat. There we go. By the way, sound effects are mandatory whenever you're working in Neo. You have to do it. Change the color. So what's the yolky color? Yeah, that looks very healthy to me. Yolks on you. Woo! Hey. Okay, and of course, probably gonna make it shiny and maybe even reflective. And there we have our lovely, very basic, I know, yolk. Usually, those do blend together just a bit. It's like not a perfect separation, even though maybe we can stylize it like this, but perhaps we can move it down and just add a tiny bit of blending. Let's zoom in so we can see the difference right around. Well, that's too much. That's overcooked, I feel like. Yeah. That looks good to me. All right, now we have our egg. Making it easier for me to move this around, because obviously if I want to drag this around, I want to have both the yolk and the albumin. I've learned that word recently. The egg white. So let's group them together by holding Shift, selecting both of them, click and click, and Command or Control G to group them. And now we can move them at the same time. So we can finally make the egg we all want to eat. And I feel like you should probably phone the hospital after eating that. All right. Coolio. And what I actually thought about is maybe, because we want to have lots and lots of foods, let's have this all thrown around. Perfect. Okay, I think that's our egg. So I think we have to pick up the pace here and go a bit faster. What do we have in the chat? Sausages, coffee. That's a good idea. because then I can show you more shapes. Cool. Let's make some coffee. So coffee usually comes in a mug, I would say, and mugs are usually round and they have a handle and they should probably have some liquid inside. So once again, cylinder is probably our best friend. This already looks mug shaped to me. Now we just need to carve out the center and add a handle. Easy. So, I'm going to move that up because we also want to have it. Okay, I'm going to rotate that later once we have it all in the group. Let's carve out the inside. So I'm going to, once again, Command-C, Command-V to place it at the same position. Then move it up, scale it down, right about here. And if you have paid attention, you will know exactly what I'm about to do. I'm about to carve this out. There we go. Now we already have the center like this. And if we want to be fancy, we can even do the same thing. If we just scale that down for the bottom. So let's make that smaller. And let's hide that plate for a moment. So if you want to have a look at all the layers right here, you can hide those things. We should probably group them and name that group. So I'm just going to group it quickly and call that plate and hide that for now. So we can just have a better look at the mug. Katrina, horseshoe for the handle. I like the way you think. It's almost like I would do this in just a moment. It's perfect. Cool. So back to the properties. Tiny bit of blending just to make sure this is a bit more organic. I do like my mugs organic. We can probably add a bit of roundness. And my mouse just died. Just great. I'm going to use the trackpad. Doesn't matter. Just going to use a bit of rounded corners like this to also, let's see, do I have my cable ready? I do. Brilliant. Thank goodness I didn't draw a light bulb. There we are. Okay. And we want to do the same thing probably at the top. So top corner, that's better. And we could even blend the shape like this so we get a nice and round corner. Just like that. Like Katrina said, no, we're doing fast food today. Get it? Because quick. Horseshoe for the handle. So we do happen to have this shoe horn. That's what it's called. Primitive shape, which I can, luckily, Neo knows that I probably want to attach it to the mug. So do it like this. Right about there. Obviously, the shape is all wrong. So I'm going to hold down the Shift key while rotating to make sure it snaps to the proper degree angle. I think right about there. By the way, if I want to lock my camera to certain positions, I can also click the button here, and now it makes it a bit more easy for me to hit the perfect angle from straight on. So there we go. And we're going to move that until it's touching it right here. But obviously, two things are very much wrong with this shape. First of all, it's way too wide. And secondly, I don't really like the way it curves out like this. I would rather have it be like this. So let's change that. First, scaling. That's easy. Whoop. Done. Bring it back in the center. Right about there. And we already have the proper shape. Now, let's add some roundness and let's make sure the handle connects more like this. Roundness is easy. Whoop, that was too far. There we go. We can, for example, inflate the shape just to make it a bit bigger. We can probably give it a bit corner radius. Could make it a bit smaller. Yep, that looks better. It's more like a teacup now. And the length, yeah, that's fine. That looks good to me. All right. Corners not too big. Yeah. I mean, this, of course, you can completely adjust to taste. Coolio. Now, let's edit this shape. Two ways to do this, either via the edit button here, or via the edit shape, or of course by tapping A. And now we can go ahead and actually grab the ends like this, and like I said, move it a bit more inwards. We could even do it like this if we wanted to, but I think I actually like this, but how about there? Make it a bit rounder. We could of course make it super sharp if we really wanted to, but I think like more round version. Yeah, that looks nice, doesn't it? Back to V for the select, move it out. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to turn off the snapping. I don't think we need it anymore. There we go. And finally, it's a bit of blending, just so it looks a bit more realistic. Pay attention to the edges. So blending. Too much? Nope, that's a bit too much. But I think about there. That looks good to me. And one more thing, of course, almost forgot. We want to change the material. So let's say we don't want to have a white cup because, I mean, lots of things are already white. It's a bit boring. So let's make that one pink. There we go. If I now want to take this material and also apply that to the handle, let's say we also want to make this quite shiny and even reflective if we want to, but I now want to also apply this to the handle and maybe even the inside. Do I need to remember all the settings and then add them here again? No, there is a copy material button that I can click, select my other object, paste, select the inside cylinder, and paste again. And now we have copied our material and we don't have to remember all the settings. So that's quite easy. Anchor points. I can see the terror in your eyes, Bruce. Okay. Is there a way to taper the bottom of the mug, slim it a bit? Maybe. I wonder if we could try, because I think this is simply a rotated shape. Hang on, I haven't tried this yet. Probably? Yeah, I think there might be a way to do it. Yeah, look at that. Yes. Yeah. I think if you play around with the hollow cone, or even just a regular cone, I suppose, which is down here, then yeah, I think that's absolutely possible. I do happen to like this one for the moment, but yeah, why not? Right. Most important thing of the coffee cup. Oh, I see I've moved that one a bit too far inwards. Doesn't matter, we're going to fill it with coffee anyway. But let's add some coffee. So Command C and Command V to paste in place. One more time. We do want to add in this case. And the coffee usually doesn't fill the cup that much. So I'm just going to scale that down to right around here. And let's give it a nice coffee color. Perfect. Well, maybe a bit of color. I don't know. Or it could be hot chocolate. How about that? Some nice hot cocoa. Because in Germany we do like the hot cocoa. Brilliant. That's nice. Should it be shiny? Probably, I suppose. Oh, no, that's the wrong one. There we go. Yeah. I mean, I think that's up to us if we want to have a hot cocoa shiny or not. I do like this one. All right. Cool. Moving on to the next one, because we do have a couple of things we probably want to have a look at. Let's bring back that plate. There we go. Okay. I'm not going to read that out. Marshmallows. Good idea. Probably relatively easy to make. It's yet another cylinder, although marshmallows are probably a bit more squarish. So let's try a cube. Let's make that cube round by rounding the corners like this. Go back to the properties and probably round the top and bottom. Corner. Top corner. I think that looks already like a marshmallow. And probably scale that a bit further up. Maybe like this. That looks like a marshmallow. Roughness. They are quite rough. I don't think marshmallows are shiny. And they are definitely not reflective. So let's drop that one in. So that's one big marshmallow. So let's make that hopefully a tiny bit smaller. Mini marshmallow. There we go. And floop. Nope. Let's try again. Let's rotate that. And add a second one. Why not? It's party time. There we are. Isn't that nice? Boom. Okay, marshmallows. Perfect. So, now let's make sure to group all that. No, not the plate. Thank you very much, Neo. Group. And now we can actually take the whole cup and even flip it around. And if we want to, we could even add like a drop of hot cocoa in there, but I'm not going to do that right now. Make an array of marshmallows. Ooh, I like the array idea, but I may even have a better idea. If I can bring one of my personal favorite breakfast items, something healthy. I mean, that's a complete lie, but I do want to show you something cool. Let's make some cucumber slices, because we can do some array magic in there. I don't actually eat them for breakfast, but don't tell them. Cool. Cucumber slices. Once again, I mean, I'm talking about variety, and then again, I always do the cylinder work, but that's fine, that's fine. I'm not here to judge. Let's speedrun this. Round the bottom corner, round the top corner. And let's add some color. Cucumbers usually on the outside are probably quite green and dark, a bit more bluish, I would say. How about like this? Then Command-C, Command-V. In the center, scale that down just a tiny bit. And further up, so we can see it right here. Change this to a different color. Cucumbers are usually brighter on the inside, just like me. So how about right there? Change this one, instead of add, to color. Make sure it pops on the outside. There we go. And add some blending. There we go. That looks good to me. And bring that back down. Right about there. Cool. We have our cucumber. Now, let's add some seeds in the center. Usually, seeds of cucumbers are oriented in a circular way. So, do I really have to create seeds and copy and paste them all the time? No. Let's use an array to do this work for us. I'm going to start with probably the pin. We could even use the egg or something else which sort of looks like a seed, or perhaps even the drop. Doesn't matter. Let's use the drop for this one and click and drag it here. I'm going to rotate that, holding down the Shift key to make sure it snaps. There we are. And let's bring that to right about here. Now, there are two types of arrays in Neo. One is called a linear array, which we're going to use to make some waffles in a moment, hopefully. And the other one is called a radial array. For this one, since seeds are pretty distributed in a round way around the center of the cucumber, let's use the round array, or the radial array. There we have it. Scrolling down here. And by default, I mean, this is sort of along the wrong axis, so I think let's try the Z one. No, the Y one. That looks good. That looks much better. Obviously, the distance, it's way too big. So let's dial that down just a touch by going here. And I think that looks good. Make sure they are actually the center. And I think we can probably scale them down and then make the distance a bit bigger, just so the seeds are not too small. So right about there. Yeah. How many copies do we want? 3? More than 1? 3? I would say, how about 5? that looks sort of stylistic to me. Now, obviously, seeds are embedded in a cucumber. They're not sitting on top. So, once again, I think for this one, we can probably go with the color again and move them down. Oh, they are hollow. Well, that's cool. I don't care about that because we're going to do some blending anyway. So, there. Change the color. Yeah. Actually, I do like more than 5. That was not enough. Yep. Hang on. Yo, let me select the right thing, please. Thank you. Thank you. Radio. 6. Yeah, that made the difference. 6 copies. Much better. All right. Okay. And perhaps even add some shininess to this because I think cucumbers should be shiny. There we go. Shiny, shiny cucumber. Let's select that and group. And now let's rotate that just a bit. We should probably select all first, otherwise this will happen. We don't want that. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Neo, what are you doing? I think I broke it. Yeah, I broke Neo. Oh no. Or I did something wrong. It's probably my fault. Usually, whenever something happens, it's my fault. At least I didn't draw a light bulb this time. Yeah, I probably didn't select everything I wanted to move. Well. Okay, not to worry. Just gonna move on and pretend that never happened. Unless we can fix it. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. Whew. Nobody saw that. Okay. Let's move on, because I wanted to show you something which is quite useful if you want to modify the shapes a bit more in a more advanced way, let's say. Let's make some waffles. And I'm going to start by drawing this cube, making that flat. And if you have ever used a waffle iron, you know you have these, yeah, I don't know, the marks from the iron, the grid marks, I think. And in this case, we want to sort of stamp them into this, yeah, into this cube. So I'm going to start by creating this nice color. I think something, yeah, that looks good to me. And now let's create our waffle iron stamp that we want to sort of put in here. Usually they are made out of cubes, which of course we can either copy by hand or use another array modifier. So scroll down, linear array this time. And of course, we only want them in the one plane. So let's actually reduce the distance all the way down. There we go. So right here, like this, by using the X and Z axes, and then I can increase the amount of copies this one has. There we go. And maybe you've guessed it already, we're going to carve this out again. Carve. And bring that down. That's good already. Of course, the color is obviously wrong. In this case, I usually expect the dough on the inside to be a bit more lighter because it doesn't have direct contact. So I probably am gonna pick a slightly lighter color, like this, and make the original object a tiny bit darker. Something like that, I think. Right. Obviously, again, this is quite geometric, which can be great if you are after this style, but I do happen to want to add some blending, just to add a bit more roundness, like this. And we can do the same thing to the cubes as well. So the object, there we go. We could even, if we wanted to, we can round the corners themselves. Or what's also quite cool is we can inflate the cubes a tiny bit. There we go. That's too much, but I think right around there, that's the sweet spot. Because it's a waffle, get it? Okay. Maybe even some like this. Yeah, that's good. Obviously, waffles usually have that pattern on the other side as well. So you've guessed it, Command-Z, Command-V. Bring that down. And now we're going to rotate that. I think right here. And it looks like we didn't get the entire waffle here. So we probably just need to increase the copies. And I think this one. Yep, there we go. That's it. Maybe we can even go back to the original shape and add some rounded corners, because obviously waffles are not that perfectly shaped. So let's go here, edit shape, add some rounded corners. Yeah, that's better. And there we have it. Now, if we want to, we can even add some glossiness back, but I think, I'm not sure actually which one's better. I think we're going to stick with this one right now. Perfect. So once again, make sure to select everything and group. And now we can take that, making sure not to intersect with the plate. So let's just move that up, probably somewhere around there. There we go. All right. What else? Let's see, what do we have in the chat? The superfood. We could add some butter on top, then of course would be quite cool. Sausages. Sure, why not? That's relatively easy to do. Gonna go with a shoehorn. Scale that down. I said scale that down. Hello, shoehorn. Why can't I scale that down today? Neo. Oh, there we go. Cool. Let's zoom in. Add some roundness. We're going to inflate that shape. Whoop. Make it a bit bigger. And thickness. Right there. And now edit the shape. There. Yeah. Yeah, that looks vaguely correct. Probably gonna round that off a bit further. So let's make sure that's properly round. And I think the sideways thickness is not quite correct. So let's make sure. No, we don't. Well, that's also interesting, but definitely not what we want. So maybe that's just yeah, right on there. Okay. That's great. More inflation. There we go. Cool. Now, add some color. I don't know. Something like this. And a very Okay, just gonna place that here and move on. We could add some grill marks if we want by adding a quick cube on top of this. Make it very narrow using the array modifier linearly. And this time we only want to have it go this way and add a bunch of copies. Reduce the distance. There we go. And place that on there using the color modifier. So I think they should be probably a bit darker. And gonna use color. There we go. And if we copy that, place it again, we could even make it like this. Neat. Okay. What else? We have a couple of minutes left, so why don't we jump ahead? Because I may or may not have prepared a couple of other things already, and I can show you how you can access your own files in Neo. Because, as you can see, we have community files, so these are things other people have made, and of course, I mean, some of them are definitely maybe a tiny bit better than what we have done today, but we also have the files I have been working on. So we can see I have been working on some on a piano like this, which hopefully will load in just a minute. And there we go. That's something I've made. So this one is made out of a very basic rounded shape, and I used another shape to cut this one out. And the other thing which I've prepared earlier is this scene. So you may or may not see where I have the idea for this shape, for these shapes. There we go. So I've created some cheese where I carved out some holes. We have the egg one more time. We actually have the cucumbers this time. We have the sausage, some coffee or hot chocolate, whatever you want, an apple, and so on. Because what I want to show you now is what you can do with this scene. Building the scene is fun, but we can actually go even further. So let's pick a nice frame. So I think right around there is good. And now let's stylize this. Right now, and for the entirety of this stream, we have been looking at the realistic render version of our scene. But if we go over to the styles over here, we actually have 4 different ones available for us. And there's also a secret one, sort of. Right now, we have the realistic one. We could switch it to vector art, so you can see this is more flat. If we want to have an outline, we can have the outline, we can specify the color, perhaps white outline if we want that, and we can make that much thinner. Or the way I prefer this style is just to remove the outline entirely. Hi, Keys. Hello, welcome in. So yeah, that's more flat style. We can go with a pixelated style if you like that. I don't want the outline, thank you very much. And then we have this version. We can change the pixel size if we want. Or what's also quite fun is the illustrative style, where you can sort of get this painted effect. And here you have a whole bunch of sliders, which of course I'm sitting right in front of. So I'm going to move over to the other side. There we go. So you have a whole bunch of different sliders, which I encourage you to try out, all of them. So feel free to play around with the different textures we have here. You can change how big the color strokes are. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to try out, and you can't really go wrong with any of this. So give it a try and see what you like. You can have some outlines, and yeah, I just encourage you to play around with this and go from there. But what I also wanted to highlight, and highlight is actually a good word because lighting by default, Neo has this very, well, relatively basic light setup. So you can generally change the rotation of the light, you can change if it's further up or further down, and you can also change the shadow size. So if you want to have this ambient occlusion more pronounced, or maybe not at all, if you're looking for a very uniform, very bright look. In this case, I'm probably going to leave it here. But what you may or may not have seen with, if you had a look around other projects, is some of them, like for example this one, they seem to have lights added. Like clearly, these lanterns are glowing. So what's going on here? I didn't see a light in Neo. So how were they able to add lights like this? It's actually a small trick we can do. Is if we go back to our scene from just a moment ago, we could even use this one. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to stick with this one for the moment. We're going to add some lights, some fake lights. Really easy. We're going to create a sphere. I'm going to go back to the realistic one. There we go. We'll create a sphere. And in here, I'm going to change this one to color. And as you can see, right now, it's perfectly flat. However, if we blend that and just change the color slightly, perhaps use nice orange, we can sort of fake a light. See that, hopefully? It's technically not a real light, but it's close enough, I would say. And this is how you can fake your way around creating lights, or, of course, shadows. I mean, doesn't really matter. I could also use black, and then we can create fake shadows. Or perhaps if you want to have a dark blue shadow, or create some fake mist. This is how you can do it. It's technically not a real light. Maybe that's coming at some point, but for now, we can fake our way around this and create our very own sneaky, sneaky fake lights. Roughness doesn't matter, I think, in this case, unless, oh yeah, I guess it does matter just a tiny bit. There you go. All right. Okay, where do we go from here? Well, there's a couple of things that are really cool. I'm just going to get rid of this. We can share our design using the share button. We can share it with the community. We can copy link and so on. We can download this, and this is quite cool. We can download as an SVG or just an image. We can even create a video, which is also really fun, where, for example, we can have this rotate around. Don't worry, there seems to be a bug right now in the beta, which I actually find quite useful because that allows me to know when something is in frame or not. So quite useful. So we can have a turntable. We can have a boomerang. And what do we have here? Oh, we can rotate the light around. There you go. So if I were to render this now, Neo goes ahead and actually creates this video. And the downloaded version will actually be correct. So it won't have this ghosting / tracing effect. I wonder if I do happen to have one already. Maybe. Probably. Okay, we're just going to let that render. Finally, for today, just two more things I want to talk to you about. One of them is the import custom shapes. To do that, I'm going to open Illustrator, the new version, not the beta. And we can create pretty much anything we want. Imagine you have a logo from a client. Classic example would probably be like the sports logo on a TV channel, and you want to have that rotate around. That's one way to do it. So I could create just a quick thing here. And gonna, I don't know, use the path tool and just create something really quickly. I think that's, we can all agree, the world's most advanced and most interesting shape. Yep, definitely. I think that's my magnum opus. Gonna export that now as an SVG. Make sure to give it a name. Greatest shape ever. Put that on my desktop. Export. Yes. Yes. Go back to Neo. It's almost done. I think we can even open a new tab and let that render in the background. Create. Come on. Import. Desktop. Oops. Yeah, import was right. Yep. Greatest shape ever. And there we have it. This is, I think we had this question earlier, how do you make custom shapes? This is one way to do it. So I think we can all agree. Let's just hide this frame right for now. We now have our greatest shape ever. Let's get rid of the background. Let's add some text. Super easy by using the text tool over here and then typing it in here. So if we want to have like a TV show, we can do TTTV. Which is, of course, the world-famous Tim and Tony television. Make that bigger. Give it a nice color. I don't know, red. Make it shiny and metallic. Sure, why not? And reflective. Make everything. And we're going to inflate that. Sure, why not? Group that. Rotate it. And now, get this. I'm going to download that as an MP4 and have it rotate. I guess I didn't make it entirely vertical. That's okay. That's all part of the fun. Render and download. And now we could take this, for example, in After Effects, remove the green background, because, I mean, that's easy to do in just a chroma key. Unfortunately, Neo doesn't support transparent videos yet. Images can be transparent, so if you have a PNG, you can make the background transparent, but videos that are not transparent quite yet. There we go. And now we can have our very own spinning food and our very own spinning logo. And I think this one will start once the other one has finished. So for the moment, we're just going to cancel out of that. You can just all, hopefully at home, pretend like this is how it would look like. It will be a video. So we can just have this in the corner for our very own TTTV channel. Really cool. Last thing for today. I know that was a lot, and there's even more to discover which we couldn't talk about today. Like even some camera settings, so on and so forth. But the last thing I wanted to talk to you about, will we wait for this to finish? I don't know. Yeah, let's wait for that to finish. Let's open another tab. Fine. Your files. Because the one thing I did want to show you was the render in Firefly. So right now we've all worked on something where we wanted to render this in Neo, but let's say we have this wonderful character from a stream I did earlier today. I call him Tony, because of the hat, not because of the shape. And we now want to convert this into an actual image based on this shape. So I can click down here and create from scene. And now I can describe what I want to have. So in this case, I could say, oh, hi, Carol. Hi, Wade. Welcome in. Cute, tiny person made out of wool. So cute, tiny wool person standing or walking, perhaps walking on table. Generate. And now, in a moment, Firefly will take this scene, which I've created. Of course, I can add more. I can add an entire background. I can add a scene, whatever I want, and turn this into a lovely... Oh, I guess that person has one eye. I should probably add 2 eyes. Let's just quickly do that. I mean, that's sort of my fault, I guess. Whoop. Again, sound effects are mandatory. And there we have it. Isn't that fun? And obviously, if I, for example, now zoom in and put this on this side to have sort of more like a close-up, and I generate again, Neo will try to reference this using all the settings we have over here, so we can even add some. We can define how strongly Neo should adhere to the shape. If we want to have some colors, so if it should pick up on the red color here, like it did here. So lots of things to try out. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, so there's only one last thing what I really wanted to show you. It's technically not a Neo feature, but I really feel like you can have a lot of fun with this. So I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to generate that one more time. And then we're going to download this. In the meantime, let's check if this one is already done. Okay, this is going to take. I'm just going to cancel out of that. Never mind. And pick our favorite one, which is going to be this one today. Download. And now head on over to Firefly. I know this is not Neo, but it works so well together. I really wanted to show this to you. It's in German, so let's quickly change that to English. Yes. Right, speedrun. Video. Image to video. I think you know where this is going. Let's find our person. Where did I save you? I didn't save you, did I? Yes, I did. Okay, Project Neo. Can I drag and drop it? Yes, I can. Didn't know that. Small wool person walking. Come on, can we do it before Behance kicks us out? We'll find out. If Behance will kick us out, then hopefully you can still watch that on YouTube. Might be very tight. We only have a minute left. In any case, thank you so much for watching the stream today. I hope this gave you an insight into Project Neo, what you can do with it, and if you want more inspiration, then I encourage you to try out the community tab, the community gallery over on Project Neo, and hopefully, maybe, you will create some really fun characters using the tools I've shown you today, and hopefully, maybe, I can see lots of your work on the Neo gallery very soon. That would definitely be fun. Right, let's check the chat for any questions while we're waiting for this. Blend into a shake. I don't think that would be a good idea. At least the cucumbers would make it somewhat healthy, I suppose. Marshmallows, yeah. Meg egg, yeah. Bacon, bananas. No, sorry, bananas, we only can do that in Photoshop, Sean. You know that. Right, come on, Firefly. Otherwise, the Behance Banhammer will kick us out. But that's okay. There are more streams coming later today. Right after this one, we have our friends from the US joining us. And they will talk about more Neo. There we have it. Quickly, let's play that. Yes! Ah! Oh, God. Oh! I think it's time for some feedback. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and see you in the next stream. Bye for now.